Hey everybody, it's Travis coming at you a few days late with the live video. Um, but I really want to talk to you guys about something that I learned over the weekend. So I attempted my first 50K race, which is a 30-mile trail race, and I ended up failing. Um, Sorry, Mom, I ended up not achieving the goal I set out for. Mom didn't care for the term failure because she said 20 miles a lot. Anyways, I didn't accomplish what I set out for when I did this race. Um, so naturally, I spent a lot of time from since Saturday kind of reflecting as to really what went wrong, with the race because I did the training, I did everything leading up to it. Um, so I thought I would be good, and I wasn't. So I was really reflecting on what I did wrong, and I ultimately came down to one major thing, and that thing is something that I want to talk about biblically as well. And what is found in really we're going to look at is Matthew 6. Matthew 6:34. Yeah, Matthew 6 verse 34. And it just says, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Right? Don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow will worry about itself. Well, best advice I ever got when running an ultra race was don't worry about how many miles you have ahead of you. Focus on the mile that you're in. And they said, make sure that you're doing that because otherwise if you think, oh man, I'm only 5 miles into this thing. I still have 25 to go and I'm tired. There's no way you're going to see the finish line, right? Because you're so worried about what the next mile is going to bring. I was so worried about not only the next mile, but the next cutoff time. And I was so concerned about that it consumed me. And I ran the first 10 miles faster than I should have. And then the second 10, I was already tired. And I thought in my mind, there's no possible way that I can do this last 10 miles. So I've crossed the finish line at mile 20 and I tapped out. And it really got me thinking like, man, if I just continued to go 1 mile at a time, not worrying about the time that I had to worry about to finish it or saying, oh shoot, man, I still got 20 more miles to go. This is terrible. And just said, all right, one more mile, one more mile, one more mile. What difference would have that made in my mindset to finish it, right? And that's what they're saying in Matthew here. What Jesus is saying, don't worry about tomorrow for tomorrow will worry about itself, right? What he's saying is be in the moment that you're in today and let me, take care of the rest, right? Like enjoy, but be responsible with what you're doing because what good's it going to be what good is worrying about tomorrow going to have to do, right? What good is worrying about that bill that you have to pay tomorrow, going to do when you're in the moment right now, right? Little things like that. Don't worry about tomorrow for tomorrow will worry about itself. Be in the present because when you're in the present moment, just great things that can happen. And you realize that there's just certain things that are going on that, that you don't want to miss out on, right? And the best way to make sure you're not worrying about tomorrow, is really just by not going and taking these, I guess not thinking too far ahead, right? So, another perfect example of that is just the old elephant story, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? You don't look at the elephant and say, oh man, this thing's huge. You don't do that. Right? Instead, you just start biting and you start eating and you start eating and you get it done. And that's what I want to just take away with you guys is like, if you want to accomplish something, absolutely set that end goal. But then you almost want to forget about it and start focusing on the tasks that you have in front of you because then that end goal becomes more obtainable. When you say, I've only got to take one college class. Okay, that one's done. Okay, now I'm on to the next one. You've got debt to pay off. Okay, I made one extra payment here. One extra payment there, one extra payment there. Hey, I didn't use my credit card this month. Huge goals towards a giant step as to where you want to go, right? But we get so frustrated and so upset worrying about where is this going to come from and where is that going to come from and how am I going to get there that we forget to take care of the things that we're in right now, right? And then when we're so consumed with all of that stuff, then we lose out of the moment, right? Psalm 118:24 says, "This is the day the Lord has made, so let us rejoice and be glad in it." Guys, how do we rejoice if we're worried all the time? How do we rejoice in the things we have going on if we're too busy thinking about, oh man, I have this presentation I've got to take care of next week, or I've got to get ready for this, or my kids have this appointment, or my kids have that appointment. How do you stay focused and rejoice in the moment that you're in today where your kid's hitting a milestone, right? Or you just set out to do something that you accomplished, right? It's not going to happen if you continue to worry about it. So let tomorrow worry about itself. On our end, think smaller picture, right? One step at a time. When you're running, it's 1 mile at a time because otherwise the tasks, they become overwhelming, right? And that's why I love this verse when Jesus is saying this, like, don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow could be overwhelming. Just stay in the moment that you're in today and let tomorrow take care of itself. Worry about tomorrow, right? Worry about that next mile when that next mile comes up, right? Just continue to move forward. Worry about that next class when it's time to take that next class. In the meantime, stay at the class you're in. Worry about that next baseball practice when the next baseball practice happens. In the meantime, give it the best that you can absolutely give it in that time that you're in that practice that you're in. And then tomorrow, do the same thing. And you're going to see huge results, but instead we just get so overwhelmed with thinking there's no way that I'm going to get there. And that just becomes this never-ending cycle of anxiety, of depression, of staying up late at night, and that's what the devil wants. So don't worry about tomorrow, right? Focus on today and the moment that you're in, because again, events become way too big and way too overwhelming if we're just thinking, how am I going to get there, right? We all have bills that we want to pay off, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. But if we make that one payment, right? If we do that, then that's one more payment we made, and then one more payment, and then one more payment, and then guess what? Then we've paid off our house, we paid off our car, we paid off our credit card, we paid off this, right? So you stop watching something you shouldn't be watching. Start with one day, go to the next day, go to the next day, go to the next day. And you just continue to do it day after day. But we just get so overwhelmed because we worry about the next step and the next step and the next step. And I'm not saying, not to worry and not to focus on the bigger pictures, but it's staying present in the moment that you're in. So that way, the other side effects, everything else long term doesn't prevent you from enjoying what you're doing, and it doesn't take away, from what you're doing. So that's what I got, guys. Just be present in the moment you're in. At the risk of sounding like David Goggins, is just take one step at a time, right? Just continue to run one more mile, and don't start thinking about, this, that, or the other thing. Focus on the mile that you're in. Focus on the task that you want to get done. Get that task done. Go to the next one. Get that task done. Go to the next one. And for crying out loud, give God the glory for when you get things done and enjoy the life that we got. All right, y'all. Have a good day. Peace.